Medicine, a lot of medicine is to do with bringing into, I say balance, but also harmony. So some people will see medicine, they take it and they think of healing. And healing really is bringing someone's being back into its own harmony. And we're longing to be in harmony with the natural world. And we're longing to feel, to remember, and to actually experience that we are not looking at it, helping it. We are a part of this world. Christianity, shall I say, a little bit, I know they're changing, but there's this terrible, ugly, harsh world, and then you go to heaven. I believe the Muslims are similar, but I don't know. So this is a spirituality which tries to get out of our duality. So that tree and spirit, it doesn't have a spirit. It is a manifestation of spirit. It is spirit. You and me, we are spirit. So it's understanding there is no difference between spirit and everything, all matter. So we would say, if we understood that, we would honor and love one another and the land and the trees, and we would maybe, and the beetles and the wasps who stung me yesterday, climbed into my boot and stung me. We might understand then that we're all related because we're all made of the earth. So it's not some funny little, phrase, we are all our relations. It is that actually we are all related, and spirit is manifesting through everything and all the time changing, producing, imagining new forms. So I always say to people, be careful, you're totally unique. There will never be another you. Spirit has made you this one time only. Try and express the best of yourself, because it's life's one chance to experience you. It's very important that we're constantly aware of power. It's very important that we realize that a lot of things are going wrong in this world because we don't really see what power we're wielding. So we sit in the West and we do our best and we make a little offering to the earth and we sing our sacred songs and we do our ceremonies. But we also have to constantly be aware, and it's very uncomfortable, of how much power we carry and what can we do with it. It's not a question of giving it away, it's a question of taking responsibility, each one of us. And people say, well, what can I do? I'm one person. And I say, but if each one person had a little inspiration and did what I or you could do, everything would change. Because each one of us can do a little thing, and together they'll make a mountain. It's like the ants, They make anthills this big by carrying tiny bits of earth, tiny, tiny crystals, and putting them there, each one. And then there's maybe a hill this high. I was talking to a curandero woman yesterday, and she was talking about when she sends people out on the land, what she asks them to focus on. And it's the first two. The first one was humility, and the second one was will. If you're making ceremony, constantly need humility and to align yourself to spirit rather than, you can become a magician if you work at it, and you can use your will to make things happen, but I tell you, things will go awry. So the first thing is humility, to understand that if something comes in, I've made something beautiful, but it's not up to me in the end. And the second thing is will, so that you hold yourself steady. I'll get to that. So then opening and closing. And the third thing to remember is until you have much power, generally nothing much will happen, so you don't need to worry. But now I'm going to contradict myself. Because when I first came to Bath, I don't know, 40 years ago or something, I was asked to go and do a ceremony at Stanton Drew Stone Circle. Someone from Glastonbury said, I'm going to bring some people. And I thought, oh, crikey, Moses. So I rang up this friend in Cornwall and said, you've got to come up, you've got to come up. We've got to do this ceremony, I don't know what to do. So he drove up, St Andrews, just outside Bristol. He arrived, we were just saying hello, and this busload of people had arrived. So we went into the middle and we just did a little calling in, and really I was just thinking, what do we say next? You know, I was not open up to spirit at all. But because we were new and we meant well, spirit responded. We were in a holy place, and people, not me, had amazing experiences. So the thing when you open, generally, I would not call the ancestors until you have a relationship with some ancestors that you know have wisdom. Because there are your ancestors, there are the ancestors of anybody else who's there, there are the ancestors of the land, and some of them are beautiful, and some of them are as crazy as they were when they were living on this earth. So take your time about calling in ancestors. Just make a place of beauty and call to spirit. And say, please, the spirit of this land, the spirit of the sky, that's life, the unmanifest that manifests through us, please come and help me. Here I've made something, why should you come? I've made something delicious for you. I've put out flowers, I've burnt some incense, I've put some fruit, I've dressed in my best clothes. I'm doing what I can to attract you. That's the opening. And then the closing, you give thanks. Even if you don't know what came, even if you didn't experience it, even if you think nothing came, even if you had a miserable time, you say, I give thanks to everybody who came. I give thanks to anybody, any being from whatever world who was interested enough in what I was doing to come. Please don't forget me. I don't forget you. And then if you've used any objects, I call them friends, but you know, I'm crazy. If you have a little statue or a stone or a cloth or a crystal or a drum, then you try and cleanse them. And maybe you smudge them in the smoke of some sage or some mugwort, or maybe you put them out under the sun and the moon, or maybe if it's crystals, you put them in salty water, or maybe if it's a stone, you bury it in the earth for a while. So you clean everything so that whatever did come, it's finished. And the other very important thing is to clear away, so there's nothing left of what you did. There's no trace for anybody else. That's really important. So the place is as if you've never been there. I did a ceremony years ago in Bath. Bath's a sacred place where you have this deep, deep well of water going down to the depths of the earth. It's really sacred to the goddess and to water and to fire. It's now well covered over by shopping. Anyway, we did a ceremony and we went to the spring because we were going to have a meeting, and we left our stuff out. And we came back thinking how nice for the other people who were coming to the meeting. They were really angry. They didn't want what we were doing. We hadn't asked them if they wanted it. And it's the same when you go to sacred places, and sometimes you go there and they've got the remains of tea lights, and they've got dead flowers, and they've got mouldy fruit. And there's a place, somebody's glen in Cornwall, with a waterfall through a hole in the rock. It's beautiful. And I've been there, and there are mouldy old teddy bears and alarm clocks and socks, and the place has its own power. It's best to leave something really that a bird or a little insect might like to eat. But unless you're leaving cluties, little rags tied to the tree with a prayer on them. But then that's difficult, because in the old days the rags would rot very quickly, and cotton's made in such a way now, or a lot of it's got nylon in it, that it doesn't rot. So these are left there for years, and they should really rot away within the year. Because when they rot away, the energy of your prayer is released, and then it can go out. And the wind takes it all over, and somewhere an answer comes back. I was taught that you make a beautiful space, you call in spirit, you have an intention of what you hope will happen. So we did our best to make a beautiful space here, which was But we've spent a long time making this beautiful woman here. And then we were calling in spirit because we wanted to bring her alive so people might feel a little bit the power of the land. And then we left her here so that people might pray and give their blessings, because then she's going out to the land. So there's a constant movement of energy. You do something and the energy moves, a transformation happens somewhere out where you don't know. It's like if you make a tobacco tie or you smoke a cigarette, it's when it goes in the fire and it's burnt that the change happens. So it's very important that you have that fluidity. If you take a photo or a film of what's going on, you freeze the energy. So not all of it, but part of it that's in your camera is frozen and it can't complete its job. So its whole purpose is not what we're doing here, but what's going to come out of that. And the other thing is, for the people who do it, they're no longer present. And the ceremony is for everybody present. Hopefully it's possible that a blessing will come to you and a change will come to you. But if you're hidden behind a camera, you also are not totally present. Everywhere I go, people are smoking marijuana. It's really strong. And I think most of these people don't understand that when I was taught, it was a circle of teaching plants, and the one in the center is marijuana. And marijuana, unfortunately, you take ayahuasca and she'll try and give you the teaching she holds. You take peyote, he'll try and give you the teaching he holds. You take marijuana, she's very amenable. I'll do what you like. I'll dance with you. She's also quite dangerous, more dangerous than people realize. While I've been here, someone ran me, what can I do? My daughter's gone psychotic. She was eating some hash cake. In terms of plant spirit medicine, I took a mind-altering drug once in my 20s. And it was really important for me because it opened up my consciousness. It was like a shortcut. And I saw the beautiful, I saw energy moving in all its colors. I saw how many different realities there are. I saw a lot of things. And that has helped me throughout my journey. Well, I didn't need to do it again, Then the real big journey was for me to get to that place, working with ceremony, working with my will, working with humility, trying to remember that, because once you've had that experience, you don't forget it. But trying to expand that so it could be in my everyday life. I call this my Taunton Dean teaching. Taunton Dean is a service station on the M5. And I was there the other day, and we were sitting and people were coming and going and the traffic was roaring. And there were some trees and there were these glossy crows flying sort of at eye level where we were sitting. And suddenly I was able to put all the human action in the background and foreground the crows and the trees and the skies and actual life. I have a friend and she grows peyote. She's been growing peyote for 7 years. Maybe soon she'll be ready and peyote will have a strong enough relationship with her that she will imbibe some. Maybe she won't have to, because by growing peyote and having peyote in her home with her, they're starting to talk to one another. Some people would say, well, I remember with ayahuasca, when I was with my teacher a long time ago, we were given a piece. We never took it in, we slept with this piece. We sat with this piece, we put this piece on our altar. We tried to get to know through this piece the being herself. But sometimes, we're all in a hurry. A shortcut is helpful. But remember to prepare beforehand, because you're asking for a lot. You're asking for a sacred plant to be cut down, taken from its home, taken from their home, taken from their friends and companions, cooked up to a hideous heat, boiled up, and then ingested by you so that you might have an experience. That plant didn't ask for that. You know what they're doing in South America now, young men? They're tearing up all the vines because they know they can make more money than they dreamed of selling them to us in Europe. So you need to remember that too. It's that thing about power. We have a lot of power, and how are we going to use it? And maybe you think it's worth it to have one trip with her so that I learn what she has to teach. My other thing was say, please don't use it for psychology. There are perfectly good, many thousands of perfectly good psychotherapists. She's come here to teach you about the source of life and to give you an experience of what is the source of life so you can really experience that. That's far greater than curing me of my anger at my mother because she smacked me when I was 4, or whatever it is. So really honor what is being offered. And then when you've taken it, give yourself enough time to integrate it so that you take all the learnings that one experience gave you, which probably would last a lifetime.